Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my space. This is a new space I'm talking to you from. It is my new apartment. And to be honest, I have attempted to do this video several times in my return to YouTube and making videos and just kind of diving into the pile of crap I've been going through within the past 6-8 months. Of course, the last time YouTube saw me, I was fresh into New York, fresh into the city, ready to see what that journey had for me. And I got a lot out of it during that time, but I also still realized certain spaces that I needed deep healing in regards to my family dynamic, in regards to how I view time spent by myself, because New York is a very populated yet lonely city. You spend a lot of time by yourself in a sea of people, and that was something that I could not get over mentally for a lot of my time there. It was like, have a great time, you're in Central Park, but you're alone. And I think loneliness is something as a person I've struggled with for a very long time, and it manifests in different ways. And so all that to say, during that time, I still was very teachable to life. I still became a student, and I knew that deep-seated, I wanted my own space. And that was one of the main things that drove me out of New York, is I did not have my own space. I did not have my own, just four walls to just be. I was always coexisting with somebody else and looking for home and comfort in somebody else because we shared that space together. So within that 6 to 8 months, I put my head down, I worked, and I saved well over a couple of thousand. And when March hit, when the pandemic hit, I came here for vacation, and March just came and went, and then April came, and then May came, and I just kept putting off going back to New York. Either because I just knew my heart wasn't in it anymore, and also on a practical level, I wanted to stay safe. So I moved from New York in March, and that was totally unplanned, and I just took it month by month. And so what that process looked like for me when I got back to Texas in March is I just started to pick up the pieces. I said, okay, now I'm out of the busyness. I'm out of the chaos. Now we are expected to quarantine. Now we have to take this pandemic seriously. But I was still like deeply hurting in certain areas emotionally, where I tried to revisit certain communities that I built here and tried to look to them for that comfort. But everybody was uncomfortable. Everybody was trying to pick up the pieces and go to like our bare minerals, or our bare minerals on who can we see in a day and not feel scared for our health. Who can we interact with in a day and feel rejuvenated and positive, right? And yet I'm going through all of these negative emotions, and I need help. I need support. And so a couple of months into my time in Texas, I got COVID. And later on, I found out it was because of a work situation. But at the time, I was deeply confused, and I was so sad already that I was spending all this time in isolation and I couldn't yet embrace that it was a time for me to like get to know myself. I was just wanting to be busy, and really not even wanting to be busy, wanting to belong, wanting to feel understood deeply. And I felt understood by my partner, and I felt understood when I vocalized, but nothing could suffice. When you feel how you feel internally, nothing can do. And I think that's what I ultimately realized during that space, is I was just unhappy. And, I will say this is the most genuine take, but I just got out of my practice, my practice of just sitting and thinking. I've tried to do this video in passing so many times, and I either overtalk, I talk about things that don't serve me, I talk about things that don't give life to this channel or to you and why you're watching me. You're probably thinking, man, it's been like 6-8 months and we haven't seen you. Something has had to have been happening. Girl, that kicked my ass. That little set phrase almost beat my ass. And things have been happening. Transformation has been happening. I'm in this space because of that transformation, because of that internal work that I did during my time when I first arrived here. And it was painful. It was, I mean, I'm talking like tears flowing from I don't know where, from the deepest pit of like my being, you know, feeling inadequate, so sitting in that inadequacy for days on end, just feeling hopeless, feeling lonely, feeling disappointed, you know. And so I started that work. And throughout the time of me getting COVID and having to sit down all the more, I I sat in that inadequacy. And ultimately, I feel like a lot of the situations that I encountered was looking for home in other people. I wanted people to make me feel like home. And like I said, being that I suffered from that loneliness so heavily in New York, when I came back to this space, I said, okay, it's time for me and my community to kind of grab hands. But people handle this pandemic totally differently. And, you know, we'll dive into different areas of the conversation, because, you know, just like therapy, you can't sit down in one session and just let it rip and really heal and speak in a way that you can call out things for what they are. You know, I can only recall so many things, and the things that I am recalling are the things you need to hear in this video. But as I go on, we'll kind of dive into those specific areas that I was struggling in and am still working through, right? But yeah, I got COVID, had to sit down in that, had to really ponder during my time healing from that, and looking for home, looking for that home, feeling like that lost child, feeling like that just having nothing to really identify with, right? And really learning how to be my own company and really being happy and settled in that. You know, when you're with a friend, you want to make that friend laugh. You want to offer stories, grab them a drink. You want to make them feel comfortable. Are you that same friend when you're by yourself? When you're in a room by yourself, are you wanting to make yourself laugh? Are you wanting to buy yourself a drink? Are you wanting to offer up that same kind of softness and gentleness and belonging to others that you give to others? Are you trying to offer that to yourself? Is a question that I largely had to sit with. I had to sit with forgiving myself. You know, during navigating those negative feelings, as I said, they manifested in different ways, right? And I saw how people weren't able to manage me in their lives, and the whole thing would just grow and spiral mountain into this big pile of discourse and just like imbalance, right? And I had to sit in that and understand that anybody who's loved me or once loved me wouldn't want me to be sitting in my season beating myself up, right? Anybody I've loved, I wouldn't want them to beat themselves up about what they could or could not do for me. We all want to leave the situation with compassion. So I had to give myself compassion on what I could not do in that situation, because I was simply acting off of what I knew at the time, which was survival mode, grab who you have, hold them close. But was I grabbing myself? Was finding out what I needed to do for myself my first thought? No, right? So that was the first mistake. And you can never go wrong by working on yourself. And I just had to find my light again, because I felt like a lot of situations that happened when I first got back to Texas really, really fucked with me. It really fucked with my mental capacity. It really, because I find when I see myself mirrored by other people, when I see myself mirrored in my community, it makes me the happiest person. When I know that I offered some sound advice, or when I know that, you know, we visited and I got to make you laugh, those types of things push me forward. Community, and I don't think that'll ever change about me. Hopefully here we can build that community, or maybe it'll develop into something else. But I'm a very community-minded person. And so when I wasn't able to create that community, it shattered me. You know, it shattered me, or more or less, when I unfortunately was misconstrued, or when my image to those people changed, it hurt. You know, it hurt really, really bad. And, you know, sometimes things just kind of, you know, float and like they just dissipate, right? Time is the true teller. And I didn't get closure on some of those situations, and maybe it just couldn't happen at that time. I don't know, but all I know is one day I had to just pick up the pieces, and that's where I started. So I'm really, really happy about this apartment. I feel like it's been a long time coming for me, Jasmine, that little old girl who was the only child, making, and I've kind of been practicing for this my whole life, right? Because I was a um, TV dinner kid, or whatever they call the kid who comes home, sets herself up for dinner, watches a show, gets herself ready for bed. I was that. I come from a hardworking mom, New York raised, working, you know, a countless amount of jobs just to get me through private school. I was in extracurriculars. So I'm built for this, right? But all the while, through those experiences, I became weaker, and I looked for that approval and that belonging in other people. But I've been preparing for this for a long time. So to be, after years of coexisting, college, living with roommates, moving back with my mom, getting reaccustomed to us as me an adult, her an adult, to now being here, it just feels like, I can't even explain it. I really can't. But I always knew that I would feel more comfortable getting back on YouTube when I got into this place, because I feel like there's nothing more priceless. And it's ironic that I used to loathe being alone, but I know that there's nothing greater than it, because when you're alone, you navigate what headspace you're in. Energy isn't created, it's transferred, right? So with that, energy exists everywhere we are. So if I'm by myself and I'm creating that, I'm positive, I'm abundant, I'm ever flowing, I have things, I'm not thinking in scarcity. If I'm thinking that, no one can disrupt that, because I'm alone in my energy. I navigate and I dictate my energy, right? But when you're living with someone else, or you see somebody else consistently, whether good or bad, because some of that energy can be totally good. And I thank my partner tenfold for those months where I was going through COVID and losing people, because my energy was low. Like, I was thinking about myself in the headspace of what people who were not happy with me were thinking about. Mainly because I wanted to get to the bottom of where I was wrong, but I was thinking about it so much that I couldn't even pick up the pieces about where I was to go from here, because I invested a lot in people and communities. So when things went to kaputs, I feel like it shattered me like no other, versus I feel like other people are great about compartmentalizing. Somebody might mean the world to me, but they're right here. I deal with them over here for this amount of time, and they take up this much of my emotional capacity. For me, anybody who's close to me, they get 100%. But I'm learning how to kind of craft that and build that experience around what I'm capable of doing. Because right now, honestly speaking, I'm only really capable of fully comforting and being there for myself. I have to craft that relationship first before I can be of service to anybody else. So I feel like this space here has been a huge accomplishment for me. I still face resistance. I still have loose ends, I feel like, of, when you do something like this. I'm the first young woman in my family, in my generation, um, at my age, who has been able to get my own apartment. And that sounds so crazy, but keep in mind, I come from a hustle and bustle city. I come from a city full of grinders, that even your grind can't maintain your lifestyle. So for me to come to Texas, be raised here in my young adult years, come back here, get a good grasp of what it looks like for me to function as an adult and be in my own place. I mean, it's me breaking the cycle, right? But when you break cycles, it's really uncomfortable, and it intimidates, and it questions, and it antagonizes the heart of where people's heart is already positioned. And I've had to cope with not receiving that congratulations, or cope with not receiving that I'm proud of you, all because I'm working on creating a whole new story for myself and for anybody else who's watching me closely. Um, And so, like I said, those communities who knew about how much my living situation affected me, who knew about how badly I just wanted to get a better hold on my story, where is my growth going? Where am I going, right? Um, they would be happy for this. And so I just wanted to share this moment with you guys because it's been about like a week and some change in my own place, and it's been fun, and I've had my fun, right, of still going out, and this is bothering me, still going out and still enjoying the outside world. But I think I'm really about to get into fine tuning my grind and what it looks like to put me first, because I've put me first, but it's been a slippery slope, right? And relationships in your life can kind of force you to naturally not think of yourself first and naturally think about how you might be coming off or portraying yourself. But I'm learning more and more that I can be unapologetic about putting myself first. And so with that, it's crazy because anybody I've seen in Texas is like, I thought you moved to New York. And that is true. I did. But I'm back. And I never really made that a public announcement because I didn't really know it was going to happen till it happened. And I think it was better that way because I'm a master overthinker, and I probably would have overthought every inch of what my move was going to look like, what it does, I probably would have overthought it all. But I'm glad it happened the way it did. And I'm learning to say thank you to the things that bring me pain, because then I can release it. Then I don't have to carry the baggage into the next season and feel the weight of things that I have yet to kind of like forgive and conceal. But that's really all I have for this video. I'm excited to kind of like make content or whatever that looks like. Like I said, it's crazy how words flow and when they come, because I've tried to do this video like 1 to 2 times within the past week or so of me being in here, and it's been so forced, it's been so curated and so polished, and yet I could not have portrayed it as clearly as I just did on like a random night when I'm just chilling in here, just like vibing out. So anyway, I just thank anybody who watches this, who gains something from this. And I'm just thankful. I'm always trying to fill myself with gratitude, fill myself with perspective. And you know, you are not your pitfalls, you are not your setbacks, you are not the things that make you human. You are simply growing, and you are simply becoming. So I appreciate you for watching me become, and it's been a very personal journey for me. It's been a lot of forgiving myself. It's been a lot of giving myself permission to move on and to stand in my light, despite feeling like, certain actions or certain situations or people or anything weighs me down. What I feel like my unspoken debt to things that I have done or whatever, that I'm free from that. And I got a couple of tattoos, and I actually attempted to do a YouTube video or two during my time when I first arrived at Texas, but those two felt a bit clustered with, I don't know, just wanting to hear myself talk and wanting to feel like I moved on, but I was still so hurt behind the scenes. And like I said, it's all a process. But I am like literally happy to be sitting here and able to say it, able to speak it and say it for what it is and start building these words and calling them out for what they are, so that somebody else can see it and say, this is the words I was looking for, right? Because I look at people just sit and talk on YouTube all the time, and I resonate heavily, and then I don't create the space for myself to speak, and it's just like, it'll resonate. Whoever it's going to resonate with, it'll resonate. So like I said, I do appreciate you for watching. There will be more to come. Don't know what that more to come will look like, but I can guarantee you anytime I get on here, it'll be hopefully to say something that matters and something for you to resonate with. So thanks for watching. Leave a comment if, I just want to know in the comments, what is something that you ultimately learned during COVID or during quarantine or into 2021. We're in 2021 now, like the shit's crazy. But I thank you for watching, and leave a comment, like, subscribe, all that stuff. Thank you again. Bye.